Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the other videos? Another paid request, this time for Thompson. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for a film called Tough and Deadly from 1995 that sadly doesn't have much of a release in the US. This is one of those films that seems prime for Vinegar Syndrome should pick something like this up, because they've released other Billy Blanks films like TC-2000 and others. You got Roddy Piper. They had done a film before this called Back in Action, and while I do like that film, I actually like this film more. So you got Billy Blanks, who was a martial artist. He introduced Taibo to the world. He started off doing bit parts. He was in Lionheart. If you remember Lionheart, the black guy at the beginning of the film on the military base when Van Damme's escaping the French Foreign Legion and Van Damme and him have a brief fight outside. That's Billy Blanks. He would go on to have a kind of a alright career in movies. Like, there are films that didn't get into theaters. Billy Blanks might not have been the greatest actor. I would say, for example, Wesley Snipes, who could do martial arts. He was the better actor than Billy Blanks. But Billy Blanks, he did what he could. He was very solid in his martial arts, and at the end he became very famous, made a lot of money on Taibo. And like Billy Blanks, I don't mind. He did a few other films. He did one, I forget what it's called, but it's kind of his version of Karate Kid, where he's the teacher. And I think it starts with a D. Maybe not. I forget what the name of it. I think MVD released on Blu-ray. I could be wrong. Someone in the comments will probably mention the title. But it's a film I haven't seen in forever. But I remember not being too bad. Like I said, he did a film before Roddy Piper, Back in Action. He did other stuff. He did films with Bolo Yun, films across the way. I'm not sure what he's doing nowadays. That seems like a guy that could be interviewed for Scott Adkins if he ever does his podcast again. Is a YouTube channel or The Art of Action. Billy Blanks seems like a natural to get interviewed. And Roddy Piper, I've always been a big fan of. I first found him through the John Carpenter film They Live, which I think is a great movie. Roddy Piper did a wonderful job. My favorite wrestler turned actor. Most would say Dwayne Johnson or other stuff. To me, it was always Roddy Piper. At that point, the only wrestling I knew was some like Hulk Hogan videotapes and some other random videotapes. I didn't know. I learned a bit more about other wrestling bits until a bit later. Knowing Roddy Piper, WrestleMania 1. I found that after the fact, after seeing They Live. But it was watching that film that really got me noticing who Roddy Piper was. And then he did Hell Comes to Fraud Town before that, which is a cult film. He did other pretty decent movies like Jungle Ground. Jungle Ground is a really good one. He did Immortal Kombat with him and Sonny Chiba, which is there for what it is. But definitely, this is one of the better Roddy Piper, and him and Billy Blanks worked well together. I can see why. Because in Back in Action, they're in it, but they're not in it together a whole lot. Like, a little bit. Here, they're much more a team. They're much more together. I mean, they're together for at least 75% of the movie. Pretty much the beginning and the very end, they're on their separate routes. And that's one of the pleasures. It's not because of the plot. The plot is as basic as it can be. Billy Blanks, you realize later, works with the CIA. He goes to a meeting. Bad guys, including Richard Norton, another martial artist, they ruin the party, so to speak. They kill the other people. They want to tranquilize Billy Blanks. I guess because they want some information or something out of him. I can't even remember exactly why they wanted to tranquilize Billy Blanks, but they do. But he kicks their ass. until ultimately they're able to trank him. They're taking him en route. He wakes up, beats the hell out of people in the car, even hits a guy who goes through the windshield and gets run over by that car. Flops out of the car, gets found, taken to the hospital. Meanwhile, Roddy Piper, he has a detective agency. He was a cop. Things happened. He now looks for bounties. See if he could get some money. Who's this guy? This John Doe at the hospital. Finds out that someone's trying to kill Billy Blanks. Has some good punches. Like, Roddy definitely used his wrestling background well, because he knew how to give those punches as close as he can without hurting the individual. So he gets these really good punches. He gives us this double-handed, hit a guy out the window. Billy Blanks wakes up. He has amnesia. So Roddy Piper's like throwing darts on the wall and goes, "Your name's John Portland, really?" And then I forget, hey, 1 inch closer would have been Putus Flats or some other crazier name. And Billy Blanks like, "John Portland it is." And while Billy Blanks is not the most strongest of actors, I think Roddy Piper helps him get through a lot of those scenes where Billy Blanks has the body and the martial arts, and Roddy Piper has a bit more of the charm, as well as the more of the, how do I want to call it? It's not like he does a ton of wrestling moves, but more of a brawler type of fighting style. By the way, if you ever do see this film on YouTube, do not, I repeat, do not watch the 1 hour and 26-minute version. Because here's the thing, there were 2 versions of this film. For some reason, there was a version that was edited weirdly. And what I mean by that is, like, during the opening sequences where Richard Norton and the bad guys are fighting Billy Blanks, there's these obvious cuts where he's ready to punch and then it cuts. And then with over here, he's ready in the middle of a hit, cuts. And I'm like, wait a minute, this seems butchered. You had to watch the, I think it was a DVD from overseas, where these weird cuts were not in it. I don't know why that was a thing in the first place. I don't know what the deal was. But again, there are 2 versions on YouTube. Watch the 1 hour, 27 minute, and 47 second version. If it's still on YouTube, of course. Because this doesn't have much other than like VHS and stuff on a US release. But yeah, if you do watch this film, the 1 hour, 27 minute, 47 second version is the one you need to see. Because again, if you see the hour 26 version, you're going to get these weird off the cuff edits. That's not what the film is. It's like some company just scissored these fight scenes randomly for no reason. There's too many consecutive hits, so that affects the rating. I don't know what the hell the deal was. So again, hour and 27-minute version, go find that one. And like I said, the plot isn't much. These 2 guys try to help Billy Blanks regain his memory. Bad CIA guys, as well as other people. At the end involves some army depot, drugs, money for the drugs. It's because the 2 guys, the way they work together, and a lot of kicking ass. If you want to see an action film that's just 80-some minutes where these guys work well together, they have some fun, banter. I could really tell these guys were friends from maybe doing the film Back in Action. And I think at this time he even had the idea for Tybo. And Billy Blanks in a written interview said, "Yeah, Roddy Piper told me, go for it, man. Live your dreams, go for it." And he talked about how he liked working with Roddy and he was a nice guy. He was a generous and genuine guy. I miss Roddy Piper. Like I said, always a fan of his. Was really saddened when he passed away. Really saddened. Other recognizable people, they said Richard Norton. He's not the main bad guy, which I'm surprised. He doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue. he has maybe two primary fight scenes with Billy Blanks. And it's not even like a fight scene at the end. I mean, he just killed off and it's like, I don't know, 25 minutes left of the movie. So I thought it was kind of a weird usage of Richard Norton for what he's capable of. I think he could have been utilized more. James Taran, he was the guy with Tom Matthews who opened up the stuff in Return of the Living Dead and let the mist, however you want to put it, out for all the zombies to... all the dead bodies come back to life. He's a guy telling the younger guy about what they got there. You ever seen Night of the Living Dead? And he does that thing with his tongue. That's James Taran. He's also the guy in Poltergeist who Craig T. Nelson grabs and... You just moved the headstones! Why? Why? The guy Craig T. Nelson's yelling at is James Taran. He's been in a lot of other stuff here. He's here as a good guy. He's the head director of the CIA. I don't recognize any of the other people in it. There's a lot kicking ass. Billy Blanks showcasing his martial arts prowess, even at the beginning, kicking bad guy ass. Roddy Piper, you first see him at his job, chasing this big guy, and he's yelling, "Tiny, you better stop running, you don't have a stroke." It's not too long. It kind of knew that, yeah, we don't have an Oscar caliber script. So every 5-6 minutes have some type of fight scene happen. Or some type of action sequence. And it's mainly fights. It's not a ton. You do need a bit of explosions in the third act. There's not really much in terms of car chases. Except that bit I mentioned where Billy Blanks wakes up and is kicking people and kicks a guy through the windshield. And then gets run over by their own car. Roddy Piper has some fun lines of dialogue with the way he speaks, the way his character speaks. I liked his character a lot. Elmo. Billy Blanks is like, "Who are you?" "I'm the guy who threw your tooth fairy out the window." "I'm not going to listen to you." "Fine, fucking die then." And Roddy Piper's ready to leave. "Listen, you better be straight with me or your next... what do you say? Your next stop is Toe Tag City." So I liked the way Roddy Piper's demeanor, the way they wrote his dialogue, or maybe some of it was ad-lib as well. Because sometimes Roddy Piper's the guy who came up with the bubblegum line in They Live. Because John Carpenter looked at, hey, what did you write down? Oh, you wrote this down for stuff you might say in a promo. And Roddy knows how to talk. If you see any of his wrestling promos, interviews, the guy knows how to talk. And they said, because they had worked on a film before, you could tell they're more comfortable working with each other. Like Billy Blanks, like, "I remember something." "What?" "Coffee ain't supposed to taste like this." Or Roddy's helping him train and get fit. And at first Roddy's doing better. But then Billy Blanks is doing better. And Roddy's getting more frustrated. He's doing more sit-ups. He's doing these pull-ups. And Roddy's like trying to pull up. He's like getting mad, but then he tugs him down, and they're having fun, goofing on each other. You really did a bond between the two. And Roddy's noticing how Billy can fight. Like, there's this bar fight. You gotta have a bar fight in these movies. You always gotta have a bar fight. To me, that's a good thing. And Billy Blanks is kicking ass, taking names. I'm not going to go in detail so that you can see the film and enjoy it for yourself. And he's like, "I remember something." "What?" "I can fight." "Oh, really?" And then later it's like, "Hey, show me some of that kung fu shit. Show me some of that. Come on. Like, come on, man." And like pushes him. And Bill's like, "What are you doing?" And the way Roddy's like, "I'm sorry." "Not sorry. I'm sorry." And then they start pushing. And it's done on a comedic effect. So like, Roddy gets thrown back. And then Billy gets thrown back. And then Billy throws him through stuff. No, for Roddy throws him through stuff. And then Billy's throwing him through stuff. It's like they've gone back to being two little kids. two little kids having a tussle, having a fight, a very playful fight, much different from the fighting they live. Definitely like a fight between. Well, that was a different fight between friends, and this is much more of a playful fight. But I said all these little bits of bonding and humor and the way they interact with each other makes the film fun when the action's not on screen, and then when the action's on screen is the cherry on top. And again, that's why I think Tough and Deadly is actually decently underrated. At least if you don't mind Billy Blanks, which I don't mind, and if you like Roddy Piper. And like I said, I'm a big Roddy Piper fan. And a lot of nice, cool little moments. These two guys are ready to fight Roddy. Roddy headbutts the guy, shoots one in the leg, shoots one in the foot. Has some funny lines about that. There's a bit where Roddy's fighting. He's got the pool cue, using it. He's ready to fight. He's ready to hit another guy, and Dad's like, wait. What? I just want my stick back. What? Yeah, you're using my cue. Oh, it's pretty good. I've never used it that way. Like, that was a sincerely funny moment. It was like, whoa, don't hit me. I just want the stick back. He wants his pool cue stick back. That's what I mean. So, Roddy and Billy's athletic ability, martial arts ability, he had a good look of his body, definitely in shape. Roddy with his charm, his lines of dialogue, the way they worked with each other, they had good chemistry. Do I have nitpicks? Like I said, I could deal with the plot being basic, because sometimes the more fun films are the basic plotted films. Because the entertainment is not the plot, but the other things surrounding the action, the pacing, pretty fast pacing, again, the humor, your stars. I guess my only issues is, number one, the music I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of the harmonica. It could be used in other movies well, but I just didn't care for the musical score in this. You think of other action films and how great the score is. This one I thought left it a bit lacking. Fairly lacking. At times it felt what screamed the low budget was the score. I don't know if that makes sense. When you watch a movie, you go, God, this need like a bigger score or a much more succinct score, much more... the scores I'm thinking of are for big budget films, but even then, you think of action movie scores from, Broken Arrow and Speed and, even Kickboxer. Listen to the score in Kickboxer. Listen to the score in Bloodsport. Listen to the score by David Michael Frank. Like, if David Michael Frank, who did Out for Justice and Shonen Little Tokyo, if he did a score for this film, I think that could have been more better. Like, that's an underrated composer. I think he did like Out for Justice and Shonen Little Tokyo and I think Street Night. That guy knows how to work a score well. Like, if you got someone like that, I think that would have been a plus. That would have been better. The second thing, Richard Norton, like I said, I wish he was utilized more. Just him and Billy Blanks kind of getting two fights. One near the beginning, and one, there's a fight amongst furniture. And they did a decent job utilizing the environment. It's not Jackie Chan, but it's decent for a low budget. It's fine. And then, at the end, Roddy Piper didn't seem like he got much to do in the third act. It's more Billy Blanks going to this army depot. There's a lot of action, and Billy Blanks is getting gunfights. There's even a bit that's kind of like Hard Target, where one's over here and one's over here and one's over here, and there's like a wall in between. They're both shooting at each other, and Billy Blanks even jumps and shooting at the bad guy. Some nice fisticuffs. Billy's showing a lot of nice moves. Roddy Piper, I wish he had more to do. I wish he was either toe-to-toe with Billy Blanks and the two of them doing this back-to-back. Or a firefight like 50-50 with Peter Weller and Robert Hayes, like how they did that at the end. It's just Roddy's like, okay, do a sleeper hold. throw a guy through a window. He sneaks to a truck, steals these 2 suitcases, which the bad guys need. He's stuck into a truck where a guy's trying to get away and stops him. But he doesn't have a whole lot to do. And I wish he had more to do. That's really my big nitpick. And when I first saw this, I'm like, okay, cool, Billy Blanks, but where's Roddy Piper? Like, why isn't he doing more? Where's he at? So I was a bit disappointed in that. Again. Super spoilers. Spoilers for those who don't want to know the very ending. He does come back, has one of the bad guys. I do like the line where Billy Blanks goes, "This is the director of the CIA. Get the fuck out of here." No shit. I said Roddy's a lot of fun. He's like, "Can I go with you guys?" John Portland, he's really, Jake, his real name's Jake. He's really shit at hospitals, man. I gotta go with you. And they go with him. So it's kind of cool. Like, those two, you get the idea they'll still be friends and stuff like that. It's a nice little gesture. Like I said, I just wish Roddy Piper had more asses to kick at the end. I wish he was more on the action. Either with the gun, some fisticuffs, machine gun, something of that nature. I don't really know why they separate him like that. I don't know why Roddy had little to do in the third act. But even with that said, very fun movie. Like I said, if you like either of these two guys, you want to see Billy Blanks kick a lot of ass, you want to see Roddy with his charm, you want to see these two guys have fun with each other, with their banter, the back and forth, fast pace. Like, this is how action films used to be back in the day, even direct-to-video. You get your entertainment, you get your excitement, no out-of-the-blue CGI, no woke message BS, just down and dirty fun. And that's why I go into a film, is to have fun. And Tough and Deadly is fun. So with that said, rest in peace to Roddy Piper. Here's to hoping there gets to be a Blu-ray of it, because I don't think this ever been on Blu-ray. Vinegar Syndrome. You released other Billy Blanks stuff. Hell, you do a Back in Action, Tough and Deadly. So just make sure you have the unedited. I say that because it's not like there's blood gore. It's just, again, for some reason, there was some, I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know. Someone can ask that question and get an answer. Why is there a version where the fight scene just randomly cut to bits for no reason? But, yeah, again, the hour and 27-minute version is the one to watch. At least the one on YouTube. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.